Well, today is a very special day, and no, it's not my birthday, it's not even Christmas, but it is the day that I get to review this brand new 2022 Hummer EV. I found it at Orange Buick GMC in Orlando, Florida, and if you want to reserve one for yourself, you can go to their website, place an order today. Now, why is it special? Because I've been waiting for this day for about 2 years, and that's when GMC announced that actually it's going in production with their Hummer EVs, and they started taking pre-orders for this edition one back in October of 2020. And now almost 2 years later, people are starting to get their vehicles that they ordered 2 years ago, and I have it right here. So today we're going to check it out completely from the exterior, interior, take it for a spin, jump inside of it, play with this amazing technology that's in this vehicle. And even if you're not looking to buy one, I tell you what, at the end of this video, at least you're going to be impressed with it, and you have a brand new appreciation for the brand. I know I did. So before we do all that, guys, if you like watching automotive content, my name is Matt. Here on Matt the Car Guy, I post 2 car reviews every single week. So if you like stuff like this, do me a favor, click that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, helps me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I know I can count on you. Now let's get back to this beast. Before we dive into this beautiful, white, shiny, zero-emission Hummer EV, let's talk a little bit about the history and the heritage of the brand. And as most of you probably know, Hummer was originally developed for the military, for U.S. military. As a matter of fact, the company called AM General produced Hummers from the early 80s up till right now, and they call them the Humvees. Now, there's nothing like this, even though it has a little bit of resemblance in the looks of it, but they're very base. They rarely have anything other than the steering wheel, 4 wheels, a very powerful engine, and a solid frame and body construction that solid that it can actually be dropped from the air. Now in 1999, the General Motors started outfitting the military Hummers into the passenger vehicles, and that's how the H1 was born. Now it had something to do with the governor at that time who made some suggestions as why they're not putting it in the civilian market. So the H1 was very popular, was also very expensive, and then they came the H2, which was still a pretty cool looking vehicle. You can still see a bunch of them on the road. It had some off-road capabilities, and then it came the H3, which, you know, didn't serve any purpose in my opinion, but you have your own opinions on that. It was basically a Chevy Blazer dressed up in a Hummer body. So let's take a look at this particular vehicle. Now this is the Edition 1, and the Edition 1 is only available in white with black. So hence every review that you see on YouTube is that color, unless somebody wrapped it or painted it themselves. So let's take a look. First of all, the size of this vehicle. It is massive. As far as the width on it, about 84 inches, hence the positioning lights on top, which every vehicle needs to have. I believe if it's over 80 inches wide. Now it does have the fog lights right here on top, pretty cool. It does have Hummer EV, HEV logos on the fog lights. What's interesting about this vehicle, it does have 3 wiper blades to make sure that you don't miss any water on that windshield. And the design of it, it's cool, right? It's massive. It does have this massive hood, 2 bulges on the side, 1 in the back, black and white, really works well together. And the cool part about this is right here. Check this out, this LED light strip over here. Now this portion right here serves as a turn signal, a daytime running light, which you can see is in this shape of a letter H, or a meter for your charge. So if you do plug it in, this is going to start showing the level of charge in the vehicle right now. Then you have Hummer spelled out in here with a little EV on the side. Scrolling down below, you have this beautiful looking bumper. It does have this black metallic color, really nice. It's still plastic though. And moving down here, this is also a plastic trim that's kind of this polished aluminum. Oh, by the way, if you thought that these were the headlights, they're not. The actual headlights are right here for this vehicle. So scrolling down here, you have this massive recovery hooks. Now this is very beefy, so that's if you need to pull somebody out, because I don't think this thing is able to get stuck anywhere, right? And then underneath here you have a massive skid plate, and then there's skid plates underneath the entire vehicle, so protects the bottom of this vehicle. Now it is an EV, so obviously there is no engine in here, there's no motor in here. So what's underneath here? Well, let's check this out. What's underneath is a frunk, which is the front trunk. And what do we have in here? These are all the goodies that came with this vehicle. So you have a cooler, basically. You also have the covers for the roof panels. Yes, you can take the roof panels off of this vehicle. Now, I gotta tell you, it's not as big as I've seen on the Ford F-150 Lightning, but it is pretty large, considering now it's probably about 10 cubic feet or so, in my opinion. And the only thing that you can see here is the LED light, as well as the emergency unlock in case you get kidnapped by somebody. You can actually get out of this vehicle. Couple things to mention here. This vehicle does have 9 different cameras. One of them is right here. Then there's one underneath the vehicle to show you what's going on if you're off-roading. Well, since there's no engine or motors that are visible, let's talk about the specs of this vehicle. So it does have about 1,000 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower on this pickup truck, which is incredible. It's the most in its class. And on GMC website, it says that it does have 11.5 thousand pound-feet of torque. Now that's a little misleading, because that's the torque of all the wheels combined with the 3 motors. Realistically, some people made some calculations and said that it still develops about 1,050 pound-feet of torque or so. Now, I'm not a mathematician and I don't really know how to calculate all that, but there's articles if you're interested in that type of stuff, which still means that it is a very powerful vehicle. Now, it weighs a ton. As a matter of fact, it weighs almost 5 US tons. It weighs 9,600 pounds. But that doesn't stop this 1,000 horsepower from accelerating it from 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. So this is one of the fastest SUV or trucks on the road currently, and I'm really excited at the end of this video to take you for a spin in it. The one thing you can definitely say, look at the side profile is of this vehicle, that it's different than anything else that you've seen. It might be a little bit similarities to some of the pickup trucks, but this is not the same. And quite frankly, it is love it or hate it situation. And I have to admit that when I first looked at the pictures of it before it was released, I didn't really care too much for the design of it. Now it started growing on me as I looked more and more into it. And now that I look at it in person, I'm really starting to like that. So I suggest that if you haven't seen it in real life, come and see it. Maybe if you didn't like it before, you might change your mind. But one thing that you can see, that the sheer size of it is massive, 216 inches long. That's 5 meters, 5.5 meters long. It is about 81 inches high, and that's talking about the regular middle setting, and it's also about 86 inches wide. Not to mention, it weighs over 9,000 pounds. So definitely an impressive looking vehicle as far as the mass of it. Now, as far as that design, they really went to town as far as making sure that this is an off-road ready vehicle, like the heritage of the regular Hummer. So you can see that the approach angle is really good. I don't know the real number on it, but you can see the distance between the bumper and the wheel, and you can see that it can easily climb some of the boulders that are in its way. Now, as far as the wheel and tire setup, it comes standard with the 18-inch rims, very nicely designed. It's kind of got this machine finished look on the outside and piano black on the inside, and it's wrapped in the Goodyear Wrangler tires. The size of the tires are 305/70 and 18-inch rims. So those are 35-inch tires. Now GM says that it's also going to be able to fit 37-inch tires. And what's also super important about the off-road capabilities is that it has a fully independent air suspension, so the vehicle can adjust the ride height depending on the terrain that you're driving on and the type of driving that you're doing. So it's going to lower it at the WTF drive mode where you're doing the lounge of the vehicle, and it's definitely going to raise up in the off-road mode as well. So the rest of the design, it's really nice. I like the color of this trim. I told you that when I was looking at it in the front. I like how square the wheel wells are, and then design continues at the bottom right here. It's also important that it does have the side steps because it's a tall vehicle, so it helps you to get in. But the side steps are incorporated with this rock sliders as well. Really nice and solid. As far as the mirror setup, you do have the black and white mirror caps. It does have the heated mirrors, and it does have the blind spot assist in it. It has a camera that's built right over here, and at the bottom there's a light that creates that Hummer logo on the ground. HEV logo right here, and then the roof is black. Now this is, again, this is the only color combination that you can get on the Edition 1, and I really like it. What's also very interesting and unique about this, that it has 4 panels right on top of that you can individually remove and make this vehicle into a convertible almost, and you can store them in the provided bags. You can put them in the front. One pretty cool thing over here is the US flag right at the bottom portion of this trim. Now, I was told it's exclusive to Edition 1, but I haven't confirmed that yet. And then you can see how much of the wheel travel can make. So there's a lot of room in here, and this is not even at the highest setting yet. So let's move on and let's see where this vehicle charges, and that is right here. It does have the largest, currently the largest battery pack that's available on the market, and that's 212.7 kilowatt hours battery. So it's huge. It has a range of 329 miles. Originally, Hummer said that it was going to be 350, but now when they submitted it to EPA, they reduced it to 329. So let's talk a little bit about the charging times on this battery. Now, if you were to plug it into your regular household 110 volt outlet, it will take about 50 hours to fully charge this vehicle. Now, if you have a 240 volt outlet, it will take about 10 hours, and the fast charge at the 440 volt outlet will take you about an hour. Now, and it's not free either, so depending on your kilowatt per hour or kilowatt hour of electricity and how much it costs, you multiply it by about 210. That's about the usable portion of that battery, and then you're gonna get your price to fill it up. Now, there's been some tests made, and I know there's an Electrified America station, charging station, that charges about 43 cents per kilowatt hour. So you multiply it by 210, and you have about, well, close to $100 or so to fully charge this vehicle. So contrary to popular belief, a lot of people say, well, it's free, electric cars, electricity, all that stuff. Well, it's not. It does cost a lot, and it does use a lot of that power. One more thing before we get into the back of this vehicle, I want to show you of how this vehicle lowers and raises up. So let's say you want to make sure that this vehicle is at its lower setting. Lower this vehicle right now so you can see it drops down. We were at the middle setting initially when I started. Now it's at the lower setting. Now you can also raise it up, of course. It has 3 different height levels. So let's move it up. And you can see that it's not even. It goes back and front to raise up this vehicle. And this is your middle setting. And if you want to go up from there, and there you go, the vehicle raises even more. And now we're all the way up. Here's the kicker. If I try to get off this vehicle right now, see how much taller it is, me standing right next to it. It is really, really tall. It also creates all of this ground clearance that you need if you are off-roading. There are several cool features in the back of this truck, so let's get to it. We're going to start with the lights. They're nice, visible, fully LED. They're encased in this clear plastic. We've seen on some Cadillac Escalades, for example, a very similar setup. Of course, not the same shape. These are the shape of the letter H. It does have an H on the side with the Hummer spelled out over here. Hummer is also spelled out on the back gate over here. You have a few buttons over here. I'm going to tell you what they do in just a second. But I like how these lights are encased in the same color trim as you see on the bumpers and the lower trim as well. This metallic black. It's not just a flat black. Pretty cool. You have the trailer hitch, 7,400 towing capacity. Not the most, but substantial. You have the trailer hookups and the camera for the trailer hookups over here as well. Now, again, a few cameras over here. You have the one rear view camera right over here. You have two cameras right on top of that cab over here, and between the lights. I'll give you a close-up of it in just a little bit. GMC spelled out in here, and let's take a look at what these buttons do. So you have two of them. One releases the gate, and that this is a soft open gate, and then the second button basically releases the step. So this is the Multipro gate. You've found it at several different GMC pickup trucks that creates this step to help you get inside of this bed. Now, if you still were having troubles with it, there's a handle that pops up from here so you can hold on to it while you're going on top of the bed. But before we do that, let's take a look at this bottom portion right here, because this has a very cool option that was added to this vehicle, one of the factory added equipment, and that is a set of speakers over here and the speaker control. So that means that you can actually connect your favorite device to it and play your music while you're tailgating. I'll grab the camera. I'll give you a little bit of a close-up of, first of all, the speakers right there, so you can see there are two kicker system, and then we'll get on to this bed to show you a little bit more about it. So first of all, it does have this spare wheel holder that takes up pretty much half of the space in here. If you want to have two, you'd basically make this bed unusable, but it would look pretty cool though. So, you know, as far as the bed itself, it is a 5-foot bed, and it's a lot shorter than most of the other pickup trucks. It doesn't have as high of a payload either. It does have about 1,487 pounds of payload, so that's substantially less that you can find, like, let's say, on the Ford F-150 Lightning, which is at 2,500. What else is inside this bed? So you can see that there is a household outlet, maximum 400 watts. It does have some illumination in here. And let's go over here. So you have two cameras right underneath here. I hope you can see them right underneath these positioning lights. And right on top of here, you can see those panels that I was telling you about. They are fully removable. So this is a very nice setup.